Good evening, welcome to the studio this evening. Nice to see everybody and welcome. So, I'm kind of repeating myself a bit there. Let me just adjust this camera position a little bit. Sorry, I meant to do this before I started the stream and then completely forgot about it. I just wanted to see. There we go. The white balance looked a little bit off, and just repositioning the camera. Am I going to be? No, let's go up a little bit. There we go. And almost certainly that needs a little bit of focusing. There we go. So, right, get rid of that bit of paper. That was just there to help with the white balance. Kind of, it helps to have white if you're going to balance for white. So, it doesn't help with these, so they still look blue. Even though they're purple. Never mind. These days I will get the website up and running and you'll be able to see pictures of these rings. And hopefully they'll look like they're supposed to look like. So I've got some green, got some blue, purple. I'm looking at my own picture and so I shall tuck them out of the way. We're going to continue with this bracelet that I started, and yeah, I was probably doing it from the other side. Yes, I was. So a large version of a bracelet which is called Wimbledon Wishes. Seemed like a good idea, so I'm going to need, oh, let's see, how long is this? And it'll give me an idea of how long I need. Because I've never made one this long, in this ring size before. So we're about 2.5 inches. And that's using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 in 2.5 inches. I want it to be 7.5. So that's what, probably about another 24. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, and about 24 green as well. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I've got a pair of scales. Actually they came yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, pair of scales. Which in theory can count these rings for me. So just sort of tip them out, which might be a good idea one of these days. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the green rings and open the purple rings. which I'm afraid is a little bit of a well, I was going to say tedious. It's not tedious. I don't find it tedious. You guys might if you're watching. I hope not. All part of the craft. Actually not too, there's not too many to do on this one. So I think it's Wednesday. Yeah, it is Wednesday today, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we'll finish this particular bracelet off fairly quickly. I'm not sure whether I've got any clasps to hand for this, but it doesn't particularly matter about that. After this I want to try, in the same size rings, I want to try and do another half Persian, but this time a 4-in-1 in the same rings. And after that, not sure. We shall see where we go from that. Got some red rings, so I could do some Christmas themed things. May go for something like a full Persian, and at some point one of the things I do want to try, actually a couple of things I want to try. I've got some titanium rings and I want to try and well, I want to turn into a bracelet. And also, I'm not sure what weave I'll use for that. One weave I do want to try out at some point is something called a candy cane, which, generally speaking, I think normally you'd want to use pastel shades, but might well end up using more solid colours. But we shall see about that. Fluffy Twiglet, good evening. Welcome to tonight's studio. Nice to see you around again, and how are you doing today? Change of pliers. These might just hold these green rings a little bit better. Actually, I'm beginning to think I could do with 2 lots of parallel pliers actually for doing things like this. So I get a better grasp on the rings. Because this kind of holds it, with it being a wider jaw, I can hold it like that, which means I've got a bit better positioning of my hands to do this with. Rather than my hands being right close together, I can put them at right angles, and therefore I can obviously manipulate things a bit easier. But the wider jaws mean that the pressure points on the rings are spread. Well, I've got these 2 pressure points on the rings, and they're spread further apart than with the narrow pointed the chain nose pliers. So I might consider at some point investing in another pair, either of these or of a flat nose. You always want more tools though. Theme Hospital, good evening, welcome to tonight's studio. In the studio tonight we will continue with the Half Persian 3-in-1 chain that we started last night. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long to finish it. Excuse me. I wish this infection would finally disappear. It's still, well, as you can probably tell, it's still slightly impacted, is my voice, and I am having a little bit of a just now a little bit of a coughing episode, and my my voice keeps wanting to go through the roof. For some silly reason. So instead of being low, it's gone high, but never mind. If it starts to bother me, then I will have to go silent, but at the moment not doing too bad. I suppose with these bigger rings where the gap is very slightly larger, you can sort of see how they manage to fasten themselves to each other, but it still surprises me that they managed to do it in a bag in transit. Because I know when they were made they were all individual. Just as the nature of the way they've been made, they didn't fasten themselves together during manufacture. So how are things going with you, Theme Hospital? Dear, I just think at this moment in time, of course, all that's going on this stream is I'm bending wire. Dear, but we will get on to the jewellery chain making in just a moment. This is part of it. Doing this work before I start doing the weaving speeds the weaving process. Overall, it probably doesn't make too much difference. Although I guess it potentially is faster overall because I'm not having to pick up and put down the pliers as much as I would if I tried to do this with every ring just as I was about to use it on the chain. But I can say with practice I am actually getting faster at closing rings. Oh dear, my air conditioner just turned off. It did that because its water bottle's full. Currently laptop shopping. So is this going to be for school, or is this going to be a laptop that you can use for school when you're not using it for something else? Mind you, having said which, I suppose these days quite often with some of the software that gets used for in schools and things, there's not a lot of difference, is there? And by schools I mean universities and things rather than schools. Right, nearly. Let's sort this out again. So through there. Not through there, through there, thank you. That is right, isn't it? Yes, it is. And then I put a green ring on. Yeah, no, I know what you meant for college, but no. Let me swap. You really get used to using certain tools. Actually, I might be able to use those red ones. Let me see. Yeah, I can. Okay. I could do with some wide nose. The handles on these are quite thin compared to these, which are a nice sort of, I won't say exactly padded, but they're a lot softer to operate with, and that's important when you're doing these things, because otherwise your hands do start to hurt after a while. If you start having to put a lot of pressure on them. Computing and IT, yeah, well, it's a decent paying profession, is that? Certainly at the moment, so. By the way, the one ring that was out of place last night, those of you that was here at the end of the stream where I noticed it, I fixed that. It was fairly easy to do it just there and then whilst I was staring at it. It was just a matter of opening one ring slightly and then repositioning it and closing it back up. Of course, Fluffy Twiggler, if everybody of course studied things like photography and stuff like that, there'd be nobody to set up the computers that you want to pull your pictures back out of and things like that, so gotta have these IT people around. Well, that's what they say. It takes everybody to run the world. I've known IT people that wouldn't know one end of one end of a paintbrush from the other, never mind a camera, which seems I know it sounds really silly, but there are people out there like that. I guess it's less of a problem in younger people than it's us older ones, but yeah, that has been the traditional fix for almost any computing problem for as long as I can remember. Ultimately, even back in the mainframe days, although back then it was a little bit more frowned on, was the old turn it off and on again. Especially when it took so like 40 minutes to reboot, that sort of thing. But no, I thought the job of IT wasn't to tell people to turn it on and off again. It was, are you sure you've turned it on? Are you really sure? You do see a light on it, don't you? And it's lit. I've had those conversations before. And then gone round to a user's desk and found that the monitor really was turned off. Which is why they were getting a blank screen and couldn't log in. And I've just closed that without putting a green ring on first. And relax. It's kind of odd how just something sometimes like a ring won't go quite through the right place, gets you really wound up really quickly. So have we got any other creative people in the stream this evening? Or is it I was about to say, is it only me? But that's kind of, you know, as you just saw there, you know, Fluffy Twiglet draws. Theme does his things. There we go. So as you can see, this is progressing quite quickly. Don't exactly know how long it is now. It's got to be about 6 inches, I think. And you can make your own jokes up to that one. Well, for anybody who might be interested, I'm making a bit more progress on the website. Got a new bit of software, an additional bit of software installed tonight, just before the stream, which I'm now going to have to spend several days configuring, but hopefully we're getting a lot closer. Where does that look like? Just around there, just then, it just looked like something wasn't quite right. I'm still not altogether convinced whether it is or not, but a couple of these rings I've just noticed are very slightly relaxed. Just need to tweak them a little bit. There we go. Sometimes you can, if you run your hands, I mean, I love playing with these chains because they're just so tactile in a way, and that's just me. But they're a nice sort of warm metal, and they sort of flow quite well. And sometimes you can feel when something's not right. There's a ring sitting odd. Just that one ring is just sitting a little bit odd. I don't know why. Everything seems to be seated correctly. And did I close that ring without putting another green ring on it? Yeah, I did. Yeah, maybe, well, obviously you know your courses better, but maybe you can combine them in some way. Fluffy Twiglet. I don't see in the second theme hospital. Lol man is whatever. What am I doing? What am I doing? You know, okay. I am twisting shiny bits of strips of metal into intricate patterns. So you kind of trigger my what's that, sarcasm mode at that point. You clicked on a stream where the stream title sort of gives a clue as to what I'm doing. On the left of the screen there's a another big clue as to what I'm doing. But what I'm doing, just for you, is I'm making jewellery. This particular piece of jewellery I'm making is a bracelet. I am making it out of aluminium rings, aluminium anodized rings. It's a technique called chainmail working. Although no armour is involved, so the technique of using rings and joining them into patterns is called chainmail. And I'm making a particular one called a Half Persian 3-in-1, and I'm doing this using a colour scheme which I call Wimbledon Wishes. So what am I using to host the site? It's a Joomla host, assuming you're talking about the software theme hospital. It's being hosted on using Joomla as the CMS. I've forgotten the green ring. And I've just uploaded some e-commerce software. Is it Hika Shop, something like that? I can't actually remember the name of it. So that's got to be configured, which is the next job. What I'll be doing for a little while after the stream tonight. Yeah. What you mean, as in updates, or as in the log? Both. Okay, yeah. Well, it's yeah, I'm not unaware of the need to do that, shall we say. It is the first time I've used a CMS though, so it's been proving interesting, shall we say. How long is this? 7 inches. So I only need, for an 8-inch bracelet, which is what I was going to stop this one at, I need to go just a tiny bit more So probably at least add on another couple of rings, I think, or a couple of green rings. Alright, how have you got yourself? There we go. I take it you've had some experience with it, Theme Hospital? So far it seems to be doing what I want it to do. Took a, like anything, it's taken a bit of configuring to get where I wanted it to be, but and I put one green on, and then I think we'll put another purple on, which should reach the end, and then this chain will be done. Yeah. I did think of, I did look at using WordPress, but WordPress seemed better suited to working for blogs, and I wasn't especially looking to blog. I don't actually intend doing anything blogging wise style at all, so when it came to sort of the sort of thing I had in mind, WordPress didn't seem to be best suited, and then it's really a case of looking for software which is reasonably popular, that way it gets maintained, and did actually sort of offer the facilities and the support and the add-ons that you might need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put a little, because that chain is now essentially done, so I'm going to put a little ring on the end of here and one on the start, to which I would fasten the clasp. I don't want to put a clasp on just at the moment though. Have I got they are 20 gauge, they're 19 gauge, so they're thinner than these. Let's have a look. Have I got some? There we go. Yeah, I'll use that size, 18 gauge. So I'm get. Do I want to use green? Do I want to use purple? I'm going to use purple, which I know to you guys looks. Oh, I only wanted two. I didn't want a whole string. Well, there's two. What was I saying? I can't remember what I was saying. I'm just going to add a little ring on the end. Do I put a clasp? No, I think I've only got one spare clasp. Let me check. Yeah, that's a filled gold. That's a sterling silver. Okay, I'm not going to put that on. Not for the moment. I shall leave that to one side. So I shall just put a ring on either side of this here, which will just hold the ring pattern. Otherwise it'll tend to just look a little bit ragged at the end. So that'll just hold it in place for the moment. Let me take my little piece of helper wire off, and I'm going to take the green ring off the end of there because it's one that's not needed. It's not actually adding anything. But before I do that, I'll just capture the two rings that I want that are going to stay there. I'm not particularly bothered about closing it too well because I'll have to open it to put a clasp on, and I'll close it properly at that point. So effectively, there we go, that's one. Come on. Completed bracelet. Fear Reaper 7, good evening. Goo evening. Plenty of goo around, especially if you're playing Minecraft. So one completed, that'll be an 8-inch bracelet. It's 7.5-inch measured as it stands at the moment, but once you put a clasp on the end, clasp generally adds about 1/2 inch to it. So there we go. So that actually goes, where's it gone? There we go. So that is a large version of that. Both of these exactly the same weave. If I put it that way around, they're both exactly the same way around. Exactly the same weave, two different sizes. Small wishes, big wishes. So now move on to doing a bigger version, doing a version of this, which is the 4-in-1 in the same two colours. So I'm going to open a few more rings. So I have no idea how many I need, but I shall open a few because when I start this again, I'll have the same problem of the rings holding position, and until they sort of get the pattern established, it'll be a pain in the neck. That's an exaggeration, by the way. It's not a pain in the neck, it's just a little bit frustrating sometimes when it won't quite you can't quite work out how on earth it is that the rings you've just put together are actually put together. So again, I'll be working with open purple rings and closed green rings. I'll just do a few and then I'll start the weave, and then we'll open a few more. Chosen07, good evening, welcome to the studio this evening. Nice to see you back again. I hope you're doing well. Sounds like you're getting on with something. Making logos. A few more green. Close up a few more green. That's probably enough to be getting on with. Actually, I'm going to use two straight off, so do an extra one just for good luck, which probably means it's going to be a complete disaster. I'm optimistic like that, you see. Right, so we start with purple and 2 green rings on it, just exactly like we did with the Half Persian. And I think I will put that through there. Let's see if that helps me in doing this, or it might have done if I hadn't just messed up how I want it to hold them. Am I holding those right? I have no idea. I think so. Now that goes through those. No, that's not helping me at the moment. Let's get rid of that, and it will help me, but not just at this moment in time. Fiddly things. You'll be right back. Okay, Rihanna DeWick, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. Nice to see you again. Now then, I am trying to recall. And no, I'm fairly sure I just go through those two. Put a green ring on. Alright. Go through that one and that one. Put a green ring on there. I know I want it on there. And that goes am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? That's a good question. Maybe it goes through there. Alright, I give up. I give up and I will check a reference. That ring is okay. That way. Okay, so I'll go through those two green. like that. Now that sits alongside that red one. And now I'll pick up another green one, like that. Then, if I'm right, I come back up through there. But that doesn't look quite right to me. Through those, and again, once you've got this started, it then becomes immediately a lot easier. But until you have it started, it doesn't. I'm not too bad, thank you, Rihanna DeWitt. I have had a sore throat or something, which has been bugging me all week. But I'm hoping that that has almost gone now. Through there, pick up a green ring. No, that's not right. That's upside down for a start. This is horrible. It's horrible because I know exactly what I want to do, but I'm just not getting it. Down. Down through those two. Pick up that. So I come back up through there. And then if I've got this right, I should. It can't do that. I've got something wrong. I have something wrong. What have I got wrong? Okay. Could well be that that's what I've got wrong. This is a 4-in-1, so I need that extra ring, I think. So what I will then do is go through that one and that one. That one goes over there, and the green ring that I want goes in there, and that's what I was trying to do a moment ago. Well, that's what I thought I was trying to do a moment ago. And once you've lost the pattern, like I have here, then it becomes a case of forget that, let's start this again. I have lost the pattern. I almost got it. I almost got it, and then it slipped. So we start with those 3 rings like that. Now then, that purple doesn't, so that purple, and that, what I want to do is put that through there, see if this will help, just because that will tell me where this starting thing is. And those 3 are in order. Now I do know that this ought to be a fairly simple thing. I've done this quite a few times now. So I should go through those 2 there. That goes over the top of there. The green ring, if I can pick it up, goes in there, and I should close this up. And that green ring that I've just put on forms the next set. Except I've done something wrong with that purple ring. It's a 4-in. It's what's called a 4-in-1, a Half Persian 4-in-1 fluffy twiglet, and I've done about 3 of them now. And that's what it's meant to look like. Here is one I prepared earlier, but it's just getting this first bit right. Once this first bit is in, once I get this first bit right, then I know I'm not going to have a problem with it. Okay, come out again for the moment. That might be what the problem was. That might be what it was, is that okay. Let's see if that's what the problem was. So through that one now then. That might be it. Have I got that right? We shall find out in a moment. Otherwise I'm doing it again. Sort of. I'm doing it again. It's about getting these first few rings in the right place. If I can get them in the right place, it will go very easily. And I know after some practice this is going to become sort of second nature to do, but it isn't at the moment. Right, that ring wants to be that way, I think. I'm studying a reference diagram while I'm doing this, or trying to, so excuse me. Frustration. What's frustration? It's trying to get this thing right, is what frustration is. And that's that. Got in through that ring, between that one, yeah. Come back out through that one, but with another ring behind it. Okay, which makes sense. I'm going to cheat for the minute and just do that. It's a 4-in-1, so that's a 4-in-1. So let's see if I can now orientate these 4 rings as they are supposed to be orientated in order to get my next ring to go through in the right place. So that's that ring on the back, so that goes through there. That's the actual that's what that one and that one and that one. So see, one of these rings basically doesn't do anything, and it gets in the way. Don't fall. Don't fall. Stay where you are, rings. Stay where you are. I want that one. That one. And that one. Like that. Oh, I don't know. This has some kind of more immediacy to it. The really frustrating bit about this is I know exactly what I'm doing, if you see what I mean. I know exactly how this weave goes together, which is what it's doing now, and it's just getting that in that right position to start with. And as soon as you do, like this, it's now holding together, and I'm now sort of, so to speak, away. That's it. I'm weaving this one now, and it's I mean, it'll be a bit easier. It'll get minor a little bit easier now with this extra ring, as I put this extra ring in. And it basically is holding its position, but it's getting just that one. I mean, effectively, what it kind of was is getting one ring just turned the right way around right at the start. There was sort of one ring which was turned the wrong way, and when it's turned the wrong way, the weave doesn't work, and it's really hard sometimes to work out until I guess you've done it a few times. It's really hard to work out just what's going on in which way you should be doing it. But once you get it, as I have here now, as you can see, it'll grow, and I can tell the weave's right just because of the way the way it's forming. There, as you can see, I've got it right, and it's I've got a sequence which effectively is to go through these last three, pick up two on one side of this ring, pick up the last one on the other side of the ring, and then I can just slip a green one over the top like that, which for me is an easier technique. But and then that one just slides into position, and we pick up the next purple ring and do it again. Pick up the last two, but one. That one goes over the top of the other side of the ring. Pick it up, find a green ring, put it on, and close. That's not closed. And fold that back, and there we go, and we're off and flying. And this end sort of does hold itself, but that one ring there served no purpose at all. It just hangs around, so to speak, and I will take that off when I finish. Because otherwise, if I don't take that off, it kind of holds all the other rings sort of skew, so I end up sort of putting a ring around the others, sort of catching the last two in that chain. But now I'm going to do is open some purple, close some green. And that's the most frustrating part about all of this, was just that bit, getting it started. The lighting here is weird. There's a colour shift in the lighting here. I'm looking at these at one angle and they looked blue, and I thought, who's changed my rings? And then I looked at my different angle and they're back to purple. So unfortunately, it's a job of opening rings. I guess what I might be able to do is have a count. How long is that? So if we start there with the purple, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per inch, and I want this to be 8 inches, so that's another 7 inches, so 6 sevens are 7 sixes, 3 14s, 42, 40, 30, 42, yeah, 42. God, you wouldn't think I had a maths O level, would you? So 42, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 42. So we'll open these 42. May have too many, may not have enough. We shall see. Yeah, even I looked at them and thought they looked blue, so I then kind of wasn't surprised at the camera, but I thought, I know the purple. I'm using, I was about to say, I'm using cool white LEDs in the studio here to help with the colour. Well, I've got I forgot what the colour rendering index of them is, but they have a more natural light, and they assist in the correct rendition of colours. But then I thought, hang on a minute, this main light that's providing most of the light here is a fluorescent tube, and it's terrible in both colour temperature and colour rendering index. So it means it throws the colours off quite a bit. And I have a few small halogen lights in here which are a warm white rather than a cool white. So they'll be affecting the colour representation a bit as well. But I can't afford to swap out working halogens just for the sake of it. Or rather, I don't want to swap out them. Not most of the time when I'm doing things like airbrushing. I used to do that during daylight, so I didn't tend to do it on a night, when it got dark, so colour representation wasn't really a problem. But the intention in the new studio is to have all cool white LEDs. So they'll be close to daylight with a reasonable CRI, which will mean the colours should come out looking correct, but still whether the camera will do it right is another matter. And just after this stream finishes, I will empty my air conditioner of water and turn it back on. Now the two half Persian weaves are quite nice because you can almost do it with any ring. The 3-in-1 is a bit more tolerant, or the 4-in-1, because of the tighter rings, don't work with all rings. But one of the things, if you start working with chainmail, one of the things you start having to learn, although you can just do things by trial and error, but one of the things you start having to learn about is something called the aspect ratio of rings. And that's a magic number, or an arbitrary number. Well, it's not exactly arbitrary because it's calculated, but it's like a magic number, which is calculated from the inner diameter of the ring, so the inner bit, and the diameter of the wire itself, with the anodizing on it. And if you do one divided by the other, you'll come out with a number like, I don't know, what's these rings I'm using in front of me, 5.4. Now I don't think that particularly has a unit, although I suppose it'd be millimeter. No, it's not. It doesn't have a unit because it's millimeters divided by millimeters, so it's unitless. But that aspect ratio, the 5.4, tells you whether a ring will work for a particular weave, and the way, basically, if you find a definition of a particular weave, it'll tell you what aspect ratios it'll work with. So they don't need to specify size of rings, they specify aspect ratios, because you can have a big ring and you can have a small ring with exactly the same aspect ratio, because it's just two numbers divided by each other, so you get the right two numbers. It doesn't matter how big they are, they come out with the same number, and so they'll work in a particular weave, and weaves have a range usually, so you might get like 4 to 6. So if your aspect ratio is 6.5, it doesn't work. It might be too tight, or it might fall apart, and similarly if it's the other end. When you're working with chainmail, aspect ratio, you learn, well, I was about to say you learn to do a bit of maths. You kind of can work them out yourself, but if you buy rings, it'll usually tell you what they are. I did 42 there. Let's do another 42 here. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. There we go. Yes, Theme Hospital. A new studio. I am hoping, well, it's more likely now to be early next year, to have a big new studio where I will have a lot more desk space. I will have a bigger room altogether, so I'll be able to build the 3D printer, which I'll do on stream. It'll be an old model by then. It'll be a really old model by then, but what the heck, it's a 3D printer. I'll be able to do some airbrushing, because I'll have the room to set that up with the extractor fan, and what have you. I might even be able to do some of the high-speed rotary carving, because if the extractor fan isn't, and it didn't seem to be too bad when I last tried it on stream, I'll be able to run an extractor fan, which is when I'm doing the high-speed rotary, I need the extractor fan, otherwise there's dust everywhere. But that's a construction project, a major construction project is the studio, so that's kind of ongoing at the moment, is all the work to prepare for that. And it probably will mean as well, when we get that far, which is several months away, there'll be a break in the channel for a little while whilst the studio move takes place. But hopefully it should improve things quite a bit. I am definitely looking forward to it. High speed rotate, yeah. Oh, it does sound awesome to me. And hopefully it sounds awesome to you guys, but it does sound awesome to me. Yeah, high speed rotary carving Theme Hospital, where I spin round really quickly with a blade in my hand. No, it's haven't you seen the high speed stuff? Could have sworn I'd I don't think that's, I hope that's not plugged into something. This is one of the high-speed rotary carvers. It's called a micromotor, and it's got a dental bit in the end of it. This thing runs at about 38,000 RPM, and it's got lots of bearings in it. It runs really smoothly. It's you could say it's like a Dremel, but that's a bit like comparing a a 1960s Ford to a current Rolls Royce. You know, it's kind of there's a big difference. If nothing else, in sound, this thing is quiet, relatively speaking, compared with the Dremel. And I do have a Dremel. It's a noisy son, so and that's that. And then there's this one, which is a dental implement. It's actually used by dental technicians rather than dentists. But this thing runs at about 300,000 RPM. This thing turns wood into dust very quickly, but it does again work with dental bits. So you know, I go shopping at dental stores for bits, and this one runs off air, which is what that is. And I have a big compressor, which is in another is actually in the garage with a long air feed from it, because it consumes air like no tomorrow. So I have a big compressor to keep up with it. This one is electric, and it plugs into a control unit, and I've got a foot control, and so it's electric. But both of those, you start using them, you can use them all. Well, it's a bit like using them, I don't know, I would say like you sort of use them like pencils. But it's a bit like having a Star Trek type device in your hand, because providing you move slowly, it kind of just disappears. You know, you touch it to a piece of wood and it vanishes, just the wood, into dust. And so you can you can very quickly go through a lot of material, but it's intensely interesting to use. But of course you've got to have sort of you've got to have a lot of skills to be able to handle a tool like that and get a good result out of it. I just don't have a lot of time to practice. I do have a bigger one as well. It's got a 1/4 horsepower motor and takes a bit. That's, well, it'll drive a sort of a 2-inch diameter bit, something like a ball or a burr, and that thing makes wood vanish as well, but that kind of makes tree trunks vanish as opposed to sort of small chunks. That doesn't turn things into dust, it turns them into sort of sawdust. But dangerous. I mean, certainly the big one, which is a Fordham 1/4 horsepower motor, that is dangerous. There's no two ways about it. You don't want to get your fingers anywhere near the burr. It doesn't distinguish between fingers and wood, and fingers are softer. They go quicker. The micromotor and the dental bait, they will damage you if you're not careful. You're kind of more, I was going to say you're most likely initially to burn yourself with them more than cut yourself, but they will cut through you. I mean, when you've got like a diamond burr spinning at sort of 300,000 RPM, you stop it really quickly. If it sort of jams up, it stops really quickly, because there's not a lot of power in it. It uses the speed to achieve its effect, not power, or not torque rather. But it will go through your flesh quite easily. So you do keep your fingers out of the way. But there again, that's the same working with the chisels. You know, you keep your fingers out of the way of the sharp end on those chisels. To be honest, I keep my fingers out of the way of these the jaws on these pliers. I have done this before, where I'll be doing something like this and I'll have my finger there, say, and the ring will slip and these will snap shut, and they snap shut really quickly. You've probably heard the click in the past. I can't actually simulate it because I cannot physically close these fast enough as they do. I mean, you can hear that, but that's nothing compared to the fact when you've got a lot of force on it and the ring pops out, they really click. And if you can imagine you've got a bit of skin caught between them. Yeah. So, you know, all tools are to be respected. Yeah, you don't take chances with tools. You don't. Whilst I sometimes describe things like I play with tools, I'm not playing as in, you know, treating it like a toy. The playing is experimenting in a safe way with the effects of the tools on the materials. So if you do hear me describe myself as playing with, you know, sharp chisels, yes, it's I am playing with the effects of them, not with the chisel itself, or the high-speed rotary, or whatever it is. I mean, even the airbrushes, the needles on the airbrushes are extremely sharp, and on at least one of my airbrushes it's exposed, and if you tap the end, you jab yourself, and it's like jabbing yourself with a hypodermic needle. They are the needles are really sharp. It also makes it viable. When I was talking about the new studios, just thought came to mind, it becomes possible if I want it to do so, instead of doing like one piece end to end, which is basically because I don't have the room to have bits of pieces laying out, or different tools and things out all the time. I will have a lot more scope to be able to sort of do a different, you know, like chainmail on Monday, airbrushing on Tuesday, you know, carving on Wednesday, that sort of thing. But I don't know whether that's yeah, desirable, shall we say, way of doing it, or whether it's better to just carry on in the same vein of doing the one piece until it's finished, or until I get bored enough to want to do something else for a little bit. If you can do those nail puzzles, you know, where you get two nails that are wrapped around each other and you have to separate them without bending them. If you're good at doing that, you'd be good at taking sort of separating rings when they've joined themselves into big long chains. I suppose I'll have to start thinking now this week about what the next craft is going to be on the stream. It should, in theory, be carving, but I'm trying to think of a subject. I kind of would like to do one that is a little bit faster than the dragon. I think that took about 4 weeks. And I think it took about 4 weeks. It took an awfully long time, relatively speaking. I mean, I know if I hadn't been streaming, it would have taken me an awfully lot longer. Well, mainly because I'd probably have, you know, whilst I'd probably do more in one go, I'd probably sort of after a week leave it for a bit and come back, but I'm trying to think of what I might do. There's a possibility of doing maybe an inanimate object, you know, like picking up one of those trains that I've been doing, and on, you know, the other art forms, and maybe doing one of those, or I don't know, maybe doing one of the cats perhaps. The dragon wings is one of the things that made it take an awfully long time, and trying to make them stand out from the underneath you know, backing. Something like a cat which is sat or laid, or possibly even curled up, is more of a large block, which will make carving it easier. Or I could do just more traditional relief carving, which is kind of like flowers and daisy type things. That's a possibility. And my return stream window has frozen on me again. So just a few more of these green rings to close up, and then we'll get on with the bracelet again. I could do at one point with extending one of these to being a necklace length. So what I might do with both of these is put a clasp on the end, take some photographs, and then take the clasp off, and then extend both of them to necklace length, and then I've got pictures of both. Mind you, it's a bit, I was about to say, it's a bit chunky for an anklet though. I was thinking maybe an anklet, but they tend to be a lot more dainty than that. That's a bit chunky. Right, another 3 rings to close, and then we can get on with doing the weaving. Fizzy watery nice, really nice drink, especially when it's cold. Right. I'm on stream, yes. Should I zoom that in for a little bit? Where's my mouse? It's on this. Well, I might have to turn on that feature where you click a key and it puts targets around your mouse. I'm always losing it now. With having 3 large screens, I'm always losing my mouse. Goes through there, and ring. Stop being awkward. You go over there, like that. Thank you. And that ring goes on there. And folds back, and we do it again. That one, and that one. And a green ring. And fold it back. One of the tricks that I was just thinking, and I keep going off frame, and one of the tricks that they do in professional television is, of course, you've got the you would have a white cross marked on the desk, so that the presenter knows when they're in shot. But of course, they're using fixed cameras, and they can position them back in the same position very easily. And stuff like that, so they do have an advantage, which I don't. Plus they have a director who is looking out for things like that and reminding people. So maybe that's what I need, actually. It's a director. Somebody who can shout in my ear that, hey, you're out of frame again. And I could do with somebody else shouting, hey, you've just forgotten to put a ring on there again. And then I'd probably be alright. Something's wrong. No, it's not. It just looked that way. That's one of the pities, I guess, with the fact that Twitch has such a long delay, stream delay. If it was something like a few seconds from me saying something to you guys hearing it, then at least you'd be able to sort of at least say in chat, hey, you're out of frame, as opposed to 40 seconds ago you were out of frame. Yes, I did put a ring on that. Remember to put the green ring on. I was going to say, if there's anybody in chat who has got any questions, you are more than welcome to ask them. What it's about, this chainmail stuff, or about anything else that I do. I don't mind answering questions. That's part of the reason why I like streaming, is helping people out, answering questions that people might have about stuff, whether they want to try and do it. You need a camera operator and an artistic director. Yeah, probably. So when I get to be a famous streamer and YouTuber, and I'm earning £1 million a year, and then I'll be able to pay for one of each. Otherwise, wait for wait for that magical day when Twitch go, and there's a 5-second delay. Actually, I mean, it is technically possible already for for someone like one of you guys, for example, to be a camera operator, because you can get web remote controlled drives. I mean, it's not particularly a difficult thing to do, and as a 3-axis movement on the camera, or 4 if you include the zoom, web controlled. That's it's not a difficult thing in theory to achieve. It just costs for the rig, of course, but it would be fun. I have a little bit of experience of trying to control cameras with a long delay on them, like 30 seconds to a minute, and it isn't half fun when you start trying to chase what you're looking at, because the camera's moved. You've got to move cameras really slowly, which, funnily enough, is why they don't manually control things like the Mars rover. Whilst they could, they don't, because they by the time they've seen something, it's too late to do anything about it. And if they try and drive in sort of real time, they end up sort of going in all sorts of weird directions and paths. See, and this is a real contrast to the way it was going when I started trying to do this weave. Not that way, go that way, that's it. Here's a good ring. How long is this now? About 5.5. Okay. There we go. My voice is going a bit out. So excuse me for being a little bit quiet. Six purple rings left. Let's see. From there. Where's my cocktail stick? There it is. It looks like we're actually long enough. So I'll just put a purple ring on, which will finish off the this end. Put a purple ring on without putting a green ring on. and that gives us a nice sort of end on it. And I need a couple more of those purple that I was using earlier. And we'll join both ends again. No, I only want two, so one of those. And one of those. The greens that I've got in this size are a very slightly different shade, so I'm using the purples because they are matching shade. But I could use either green or purple for this. I could even use green at one end, purple at the other, but so these little rings at the end here would hold the clasp when the clasp gets put on, or at least the clasp would join somewhat to that. Now I'm going to take this, well, first of all I'll just join this purple ring, and then I'll take the green ring at the end off. So that will go through, it will go through those two rings there. Close it up, take this green ring off, and that's our bracelet. I'll just lay it down and zoom out. And why did that focus change? See, now that's cocktail stick. So again, it wants to be 7.5 inches to make an 8-inch bracelet. It's slightly longer, not fantastically bothered on this one. It'll come out about 8.25. I could shorten it if I really wanted to, but it's, you know, the lengths are within a small margin approximate. This sort of bracelet doesn't want to be tight anyway, so that's there we go. So that's the second bracelet complete. So we did both of these are half Persians. This one is a 3-in-1, that's a 4-in-1. As you can see, this one's a lot more lacy than this one. This is a bit more sort of a chunky bracelet. Perhaps potentially, you know, if you were going to subscribe to sort of what might be better for men and women, if you feel that so inclined, this is probably more of a female bracelet, and this one would perhaps tend to be more suitable for a man, but doesn't have to be. As you can see, nice beautiful green and purple colours. So that's Wimbledon Wishes. This one's called Tennis Anyone. So there we go. So we finished 2 tonight, or finished 1 completely, and this finished this one from about 1 inch from last night. And both of them were a bit awkward to start. In theory, they should be really easy to start, because you just start the same way you mean to go on, so to speak, which is just as you kind of saw, it got really easy in both of them. But that first few, until there's enough rings in to hold that pattern, they're awkward to hold in position and get. The 4-in-1's easier to start. After about the 5th ring that you insert, it's virtually stable. The half Persian though takes about 6 or 7 or 8 rings before it starts to be stable, and then you can go from there. Anyway, it is going fast. It's gone fast. We've We've done 2 bracelets in 2 hours and 9 minutes. Probably spent about 15 minutes messing about trying to start this one. So take about an hour bracelet of this sized rings. If you were doing it with smaller rings, it would take longer, of course, because they don't grow as fast. And potentially, if you did it with even larger rings, it would grow much faster than that. I think there is a limit, though, from the point of view of size of rings, in that it just becomes too... It's a bit like a pixelated picture. Sometimes they don't, the bigger rings don't always look better. It's like going to a pixelation. As you zoom in, things get bigger, and it doesn't look as good. But actually, I'm really pleased with this purple and green one here, the Tennis Any one, this 4-in-1. I wish it did come out on the camera just like it looks. Can I get a bit more sort of light on it? But it's a... No, it's a lovely... Just the two colours together, it just work together really nicely. Terrible lighting, but and this as I mentioned, this is kind of X-shaped. I don't know if you can sort of see it now on this one. It's kind of X-shaped when you squeeze it a little bit, but it actually just naturally falls into like a rectangular box type of shape. But a nice herringbone on one side, and of course on the other, and then this sort of half and half curve on the front. Anyway guys, that's it for this evening. I'm going to save my voice, going to get a cold drink, going to turn the air conditioning back on, having emptied its water out. Be doing a new weave of some kind tomorrow, possibly the full Persian with red and green, so we'll do a Christmas themed thing. Then may do something with some flexible rings. Got some red and green flexible rings. Might try, sorry about that, might try something with those, or even titanium rings. They're little tiny ones, but they're I know they're quite difficult to work. And I've got to find something to do with that. I love that colour, cyan sort of colour, sky bluish. I love that colour. I'm gonna have to find something to do with that. Anyway, guys, as I said, if there's anybody watching, if there's anybody still watching, because it was a bit silent at the end there, if you're watching and not following, then of course I would highly encourage you to push the follow button. That would be most excellent of you, to borrow half a phrase from a film. On the other hand, if you just like to catch me when I go live, I do tweet when I go live. So the details are on the end plate in a moment and will be below the stream window as well. But it's at Zaraganart. I'm looking for the top for me. There it is. And on the other hand, if you just want to try and catch me tomorrow night when I stream, which will be 8 PM UK time, 1900 hours GMT, or 2¼ hours ago was 8 o'clock that time tomorrow. In the meantime, thank you all. iBox7, welcome, thank you very much for that comment. Hopefully it will continue to be awesome tomorrow, but thank you all. Have a good evening. Bye bye.